All right, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for our Power BI New Features webcast. A quick introduction as you will be listening to me for the next 30 minutes or so. My name is Emily Dentinger, and I am a data and analytics consultant here at Thorogood. I'm based out of our Philadelphia office, but currently working remotely. If you have any questions for me, please use the chat panel and submit your questions to the host. Additionally, I've put my contact information on the screen, and that's intentional. Please feel free to reach out with any questions or comments. Here's our agenda for the session. We'll start with a quick introduction to Thorogood, and then we'll transition into the main section. We'll start there with Power BI and the future that lies ahead. Then I want to spend a few minutes reviewing the landscape in which Power BI exists, just to put some of this into context. After that, we'll look specifically at new features within Power BI and within that landscape, and we'll end with some next steps and a quick wrap up. This being a Power BI focused webcast, we do want to highlight our relationship with Microsoft. Microsoft is a key and close partner for us. We've been a gold partner in relevant specialties with Microsoft for over 15 years, and we've held seats on Microsoft's Global Business Intelligence and Advanced Analytics Partner Advisory Council for about that amount of time. This provides us with insights into Microsoft's product and services roadmap in the space, but also it's a platform for feedback in terms of what we're experiencing in the market. Globally, we host a range of marketing events, often these educational events and workshops on Microsoft's BI and analytics platforms and tools. We've also been featured on Microsoft's Power BI Partner Showcase, which is a resource Microsoft has made available online to highlight the art of the possible in Power BI by having partners such as ourselves create dashboards that are available to view. All right, so enough about us. Let's start by looking ahead at the future that Power BI is embarking on. So over the past few years, we've seen some exciting new features and enhancements, all of which are bringing Power BI closer to its ultimate vision. And that vision is really to empower everyone in an organization to use Power BI. So use it for their decisions, for their analysis, for their reporting, etc. Power BI is democratizing data and analytics. So everyone in your organization can create reports, can analyze data, can derive value from your data. And it's not just about everyone within the organization, it's also about utilizing this for every decision. So we have technologies within the Power Platform, within Azure. We have flexibility to use Power BI for every decision, whether that be reporting, predictive analytics, modeling and cleansing, etc. All of this is possible in Power BI. And with those options increasing more than ever before, and with that collaboration of technologies, you can really do that at any scale. So whether it be licensing options in Power BI, whether it be Power BI and another tool, whether it be just within your team or within your entire organization, Power BI is giving you these options and this flexibility. And what we're seeing is really this convergence of enterprise BI and self-service BI. Gone are the days when you had specific teams within an organization just creating reports and a team responsible for all the business intelligence and analytics insights that an organization requires. For those of you who have followed Microsoft's journey within the BI landscape, I'm sure you recognize the names SQL Server Reporting Services and SQL Server Analysis Services. These tools are often used in conjunction to satisfy the reporting needs for any team or organization. You would generally use analysis services to create your enterprise models, so to create those measures and calculations. And then you would use reporting services to consume that model and deliver the reporting thereafter. What we're seeing is that the abilities of both of these tools have converged into one tool, which is Power BI. So even some of the more niche requirements that reporting services would provide around exporting large quantities of data or producing reports in a pixel perfect format, there are now offerings like Paginated reports in Power BI that offer essentially the same thing, along with the interactive visualization capabilities and the modeling capabilities that Power BI offers. So we've seen that convergence of enterprise BI and self-service BI, and in general, we're seeing a shift from specific teams looking at after an application within an organization to now everybody using Power BI for the insights they're trying to gain. So truly a shift to self-service. And this is done with all of these key aspects in mind. So with transitioning from reporting services and analysis services to Power BI, you need to keep in mind the governance and scalability aspects. So trust and compliance, operations, information quality, performance acceleration, all of this needs to follow that transition to self-service BI. And really, this is a journey that Power BI has been following. So let's back up for a second and take a look at how all of these updates come together and really understand the vision that Microsoft has here for the tool. This is the vision here on the screen that Microsoft and Power BI defined for themselves. So through 2020, you're getting those features that allow you to take action, or those features that provide the insights that enable you to take action. Whether this be key influencers or decomposition trees, which allow you to do some root cause analysis. All of that is contributing to providing you with the insights that allow you to take action. As we enter 2021, or as we continue through 2021 at this point, we are seeing Microsoft and Power BI build on that, but also add performance management aspects to the entire landscape. Something we'll talk about in a few minutes, one of the features, goals in Power BI service. This is taking quite a substantial step towards allowing you to use Power BI for your performance management. The typical traditional way that Power BI has been used, you create your applications, generate analysis using Power BI, but then to share that with and communicate that to a wider audience, we would see people export these visuals and insights to PowerPoint and then add your own commentary and do a few more manual tweaks before that ends up in the hands of your end users. So for example, upper management. But now we see the ability to use smart narratives to generate that commentary automatically with the ability to track goals automatically within Power BI. So that dependence on other technologies outside of Power BI to communicate this to a wider audience, it's going away. As for what we're seeing, looking at this from a feature point of view, just some features on the left that I've listed here: key driver analysis, smart narratives, root cause analysis, Q&A. These are really helping you to get that insight that you're looking to have and then derive action. And then what we see, or something that's coming soon in their journey towards 2022, is those Power BI streaming data flows. So utilizing things like event hubs, other ways of connecting to real-time data, and then seeing your application consume that data and seeing those visualizations adjust themselves to give you insights in a real-time fashion. So quite an interesting journey for all of us to be aware of. All right, now let's take a look at the landscape within which Power BI exists. Power BI really, it doesn't exist on its own. It exists with a whole suite of tools and technologies around it. So I think it would be useful to just take a minute to level set on that landscape within which Power BI exists. If you've taken any of Microsoft's in-a-day workshops, or if you've attended any previous Microsoft-related events, the slide will likely look pretty familiar to you. But the point here being, Power BI does not exist on its own. We have the Power Platform, which is comprised of Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents. What we're seeing is that all of these tools and technologies are coming together to give users a more seamless experience. And just kind of high level, this Power Platform is Microsoft's no-code or low-code family of tools for modern application development, with the option for more advanced customized coding. And what we're seeing with Power BI, Power Apps, and Power Automate specifically is firstly the evolution of something called the common data model within Azure, which has now evolved to something called the Dataverse, which is a data platform from where each of these tools can connect to, and you can interchangeably use either Power Apps, Power Automate, or Power BI to leverage that data platform and utilize that as your common model. And then from your common model, you can act, analyze, and automate using the various tools within the Power Platform. More importantly is the ability to create your Power Automate flows to create your Power Apps from within Power BI itself. This is now available just as any other standard visualization. And we'll kind of touch on this in more detail a bit later. And further, those integrations between Microsoft Azure technologies and Power BI continue to grow stronger. So whether you're looking to integrate Power BI with machine learning capabilities like Azure ML, or utilize cognitive services for sentiment analysis or key phrase extraction, or if you're looking to utilize your existing Python and R capabilities within Power BI, those integrations continue to grow stronger. And there are really just more possibilities today than there have been before. And along with leveraging all of these abilities, it's important to have that flexibility in terms of sharing it with a broader audience. So whether you have people within your organization who still prefer Excel for reporting and analysis, Power BI continues to give you that ability. If you're using Teams and have an application which is specific to your particular team, there's now an integration that allows those Power BI reports to exist within your team, giving you just one interface to concentrate on rather than jumping back and forth between interfaces. Similarly, we're seeing the integration with SharePoint continue to grow stronger. So whether that's embedding your Power BI application on a SharePoint site or using SharePoint lists or files stored in SharePoint for consuming data or utilizing in conjunction with Power Automate to export data, those integrations continue to improve, really just giving you more options. And the integration with PowerPoint continues to exist, and this has been an extremely popular feature. But what we're seeing within the landscape, there are many tools that Power BI integrates with, and the trend seems to be that that integration continues to grow stronger, really just giving you more options. All right, so now let's take a look at those subset of new features from earlier this year. I do say subset because there have been a whole list of new features that Power BI has introduced, but we've just picked a few that we found particularly interesting or relevant or useful. So we've grouped these new features into three categories: visualizations, analytics, and connectors. And the intent here is to really give you an idea of where Power BI is headed. So we'll start with the new features in visualizations and then just kind of go through these one by one. I will explain the feature, and for some of these I'll flash up a little demo, and I will also try to provide some relevant use cases and perspectives on how and when to use these features. All right, so we'll start with visualizations, specifically with small multiples. So this small multiples feature gives you the ability to split or break up your line or bar charts by a specific attribute. So in this example on the screen, we're looking at sales amount by category. And then we've actually dragged our country field onto that small multiples field. So you might want to split your line and bar charts by a particular attribute. In this case, we split by country, so that you can give appropriate focus to the values corresponding to just that attribute and find a more visually intuitive way to compare different selections of the same attribute. And that's really what small multiples gives you. It's a great add-on to an existing visual, and it gives a nice alternative to slicing your data. So prior to this feature, we would probably add country to the legend field, but it's a little harder to compare and derive trends from that view. So with this new feature, you're really able to give proper focus and proper attention to various attributes. Next, we have the new Azure Maps feature. Now, Azure Maps itself has existed for quite some time within Power BI. And Azure Maps has great capabilities for any mapping requirement you might have. But what has really improved over the past few months is the selection features, which are available in Azure Maps. So with that, it's really allowed you to interact with Azure Maps alongside the other visuals that you might have, to really just gauge what data corresponds to that location data that you're seeing in your maps. Next, we have paginated reports in Power BI. Again, is similar to Azure Maps. Paginated reports have existed for quite some time as a premium only feature. So paginated reports is nothing new, but this new feature allows you to leverage that pixel perfect formatting. So there are limitations to this kind of pixel perfect formatting in Power BI, but paginated reports gives you that little boost of flexibility. So before this feature came out, you were still able to integrate Power BI and paginated reports. So you were able to pass context filters from Power BI into paginated reports and ensure both of those tools could be used in conjunction. But that integration has been made much more seamless. It's just become a lot easier. So just like any other visualization that exists in Power BI, paginated reports is also, it exists as a visualization. So you just need to drag that onto your canvas or workspace, connect to a pre-built paginated report, and then the behavior of that visual is just like any other visual that might exist in Power BI. So in this example on the screen, we're highlighting a bunch of points in New York looking at vaccine distribution, and we're seeing the raw data corresponding to those points, which you can then choose to export for distribution or for whatever way you might need that report. So this is a nice enhancement of integration of the tools that exist within this Power Platform landscape, just bringing some of the tools and capabilities closer to make the experience more seamless for the end user. And similarly, along that same vein is the Power Automate visualization. As we saw with paginated reports, Power Automate existed prior to this new feature. So it really serves to execute workflows on the basis of an event happening. But with this new feature, you can define an event from within Power BI and trigger a Power Automate flow from within Power BI itself. So a common use case, maybe not necessarily common, but a useful application for this would be to export data from a Power BI visual to Excel. So once you've created a flow, you just drag the Power Automate visual onto your Power BI canvas. Then you can really just click on that Power Automate visualization. It will execute the flow, and the data from the corresponding visual will be exported to Excel in that example. That's just one sample use case, but the possibilities here are really endless. You can choose to do what you want in Power Automate, what you want in Power BI, and kind of what you want from that relationship. Next, we move a bit towards the performance management aspect of things, which we kind of touched on a bit earlier. The new feature we want to call out here is goals in Power BI service. This is a premium only feature for now, kind of pending change, but for now it's premium only. Really, it gives you the ability to set your team's goals and your organization's goals and then track them in an automated fashion. So instead of what has previously been the norm, so manually updating PowerPoint presentations or certain documents that contain those goals and sharing with management, you can set these goals up as data elements, which will change as your core system's data changes. And this gives you interesting information. So for example, what were your values the week before, the month before? How are your goals trending? What are the values trending like? And so on. And from there, you can actually go ahead and trigger Power Automate flows. Yep, so you can trigger these flows on the basis of those goals. So if you're falling behind, if you're ahead, and if you want to inform a certain group of people, you can set up that Power Automate flow to say, whenever a goal changes or whenever the status of a goal changes, trigger this communication and send it out to this group of people. So we're really bringing that performance management aspect to a more automated state within Power BI itself. All right, so next we'll look at some of the new features pertaining to analytics. These features really have not been out for too long, but we've already seen immense benefit from them in some of the work that we're doing with our clients. So we'll just kind of dive right in. We'll start with this anomaly detection feature. Now, anomaly detection just in general is really trying to help you identify those outliers or anomalies in your data. So you're looking to understand if there are outliers and why that could possibly be. And it's really that combination of not just identifying, but attempting to explain why. And you have some flexibility in choosing how you want to identify and explain outliers. So within Power BI, this feature exists in the analytics pane. And from that interface, you have control over the sensitivity. So what should be considered an anomaly, what should be considered to be within the normal range of data. And you can, of course, in true Power BI fashion, mess around with the aesthetics and how you display that. You can also explain these anomalies by a few attributes. So you can actually drag different attributes into that analytics pane and to really just get a more detailed breakdown of how that attribute is affecting outliers. So this feature is really pushing that analytics and Power BI initiative forward, and it's a really nice step in the right direction. And I'll just note that this feature is very much so automated. It's point and click. It's no code. It's very straightforward from a user interface perspective. Again, just really aligning with that goal of empowering everyone in the business to derive value from data. And alongside this, we also have smart narratives. This is especially useful. It just summarizes what a certain value means in a dashboard or what the underlying trends could possibly be. So if you have cards that are calling out certain metrics or KPIs, or if you have certain interesting charts, which you want to distill into readable information, particularly if you're presenting your data or if you're sharing with a team or a group of people who may not be as familiar or as comfortable reading charts. This feature provides you with a very useful summary and then allows you to drive the conversation around those smart narratives in addition to the visuals. And then we have a feature which is coming soon, automated insights. For those of you who use Power BI service and the quick insights feature there, the automated insights feature is really going to build off of that and kind of extract that back into Power BI desktop. So one of the gaps prior to this feature would be, or one of the gaps that small gaps that we've noticed would be the availability of those quick insights only in Power BI service. So a lot of us wanted this to be part of the desktop application as well. And it's not just going to be the quick insights feature that exists in service. They're going to build on top of it and add even more options. We'll just kind of segue on to a couple of connector specific features that I want to touch on. The first being the Parquet file connector. Data lakes are becoming an increasingly viable option for acting as a data source for Power BI. So previously, Power BI had the capability to connect to text files, to CSV files, to Excel files. With Parquet, you're able to leverage what is arguably the best format for maintaining data and the most efficient format for maintaining data. So in those tools which are generating Parquet files, so your data transformation tools, the best format for them to generate data and the most machine readable format is Parquet. So you're really creating that seamless integration. So gone are the days, thank goodness, of converting Parquet files into text or CSV files in order to get that data into Power BI. With this new feature, you can just directly consume what your data transformation tools are generating and then utilize it directly within Power BI. So something that has always existed but is being leveraged for another functionality is the text CSV by example. So we've had the web by example feature in Power BI. So you would connect to web pages and pass that data into a more structured format that you could use repeatably for analysis. This is kind of that same feature for the text and CSV situation. So if you have text and CSV files that haven't come through as tables of data, but have data elements that you want to extract into tabular format, you can read those files using Power BI. And as kind of shown here on the screen, you can give Power BI a couple of examples of what you want of what you want that table to look like, I should say. And Power BI will then kind of predict what you're going for and give you that tabular format of data. And that makes this a very repeatable process. So the next time you have a file of this nature, Power BI will just perform the same set of steps and give it to you in a tabular format. All right, so before we close out, I do want to end with some next steps and just a very quick wrap up. Firstly, if you are interested in Power BI or your team or organization is looking to adopt Power BI, we can help with that upskilling and with that enablement. We have a few training programs and a nice array of content for different skill levels and different aspects of Power BI. We have some out-of-the-box content, but we really try to work with clients to customize a program based on their specific data and their specific needs. Additionally, if you want to broaden that scope to data and analytics in general, we've found that this path to the modern data platform is very helpful. In this session, we start with an introduction and overview to tools and technologies that might be of interest in this space. And then we provide hands-on exercises and support for a much more in-depth experience. And this session will generally end with a hackathon in which we support you as you work on your own business use cases. That concludes our session for today. Thank you again for attending, and I hope you enjoyed the session. Thank you.